coats and kind of dusting off their down jackets. It's feeling like fall is finally here. And for that reason and so many others, we really appreciate your presence here this evening and hope that you find it a useful 60 minutes or so. I'm Allison Mizuguchi, the principal here at the high school, and I'm just so pleased to have all of you this evening. I'm joined by my two amazing assistant principals, Laura Cole and Sean Gass. And really the three of us are going to host kind of the information part of the evening where we're going to talk at you for a little while, but then give way to the much more important part, which is our student panel. We have some amazing students who have given up their time generously this evening to share their insights, perspectives, and to answer your questions. And on that note, if there is a question or two that you would like us to ask the students during our panel portion, we have some index cards. If you'd like to jot them down, Sean's going to collect them before the panel begins, or you're certainly welcome to just sort of ask the questions in real time, because you may not think of the questions until you sort of encounter that bit of information during our presentation that prompts it. So in any case, welcome, welcome. I'd also like to welcome any caregivers of new students who aren't necessarily ninth graders. We have more than a few families who are new to our community who have students in upper class grades, so they're certainly welcome as well this evening. Tonight our goals are basically to sort of fill in any gaps and to orient you to who we are at Wayland High School, particularly our structures and supports for our new students, that's ninth graders as well as upper class students who are new to our community. We're going to introduce ourselves to all of you because we administrators do feel like we're sort of the point people for all of you, and I hope that you feel that way about us. If you're never sure who to contact, the person you probably want to contact is one of the three of us, but we'll talk a little bit about how that communication really works most efficiently and effectively for all of you here at the high school. We certainly want to answer your questions and make sure you leave here feeling more clear and more certain and more confident about who we are and about your students' experience, most importantly. And then, as I mentioned before, give you the student wisdom that you will hopefully find extremely useful, and it's always the best part of the evening. So we want to take some time just to introduce ourselves. All of us have a cheesy slide, and this is mine. My daughter actually created this. She's now in college. I'm the mother of two teenagers, so on top of spending my day with lots and lots of teenagers, I go home, and there's teenagers there too, or there's one now, and one on the West Coast going to college. I've been here for an astounding 26 years, which is hard to believe. I started my career here in the English department, became assistant principal, was assistant principal for a very long time, and at least one person in this room is very familiar with the tale that I'm telling. Joseph is here. And then became principal and just love the community, love the people I get to work with every day. And of course, the best part is always the students. So it's an amazing high school, an amazing community, and it has kept me here, and really I've just enjoyed my time here so tremendously. I'm a huge baseball fan. We're not going to talk about the Padres and their early demise in the Wild Card Series. A lot of family connections, primarily on the West Coast. I grew up in San Diego. And I'll turn it over to my friend Laura.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Cole. I am the assistant principal who works with the classes of 2026 and 2028. So I'll get to know your students. I'm at lunch duty every day. I might work with Mr. Gass on something, but Mr. Gass and I follow grades throughout, so we stay with families throughout their journey here. A little bit about me. I grew up in Yates, Mass, right down the road. I have two kids, Cody, who's 8, and I just had a baby in April. Her name is Cece. Well, Cecilia, but we call her Cece for short. So I'm on very little sleep, so forgive me if I just stand up here and doze off. I have 2 dogs, Rambo and Tucker. I love anything being outside. I like the Red Sox. I always joke around with Allison that one day we will have a World Series rivalry with each other. But better luck next season. Before coming to Wayland, I worked in alternative education at Lincoln Sudbury. I became a counselor there and eventually the director of counseling. And then I decided to come a little bit closer to Natick and come to Wayland High School, and I'm entering my 6th year as assistant principal here. Pass it over to Sean.
Hi everybody, I'm Sean Gass. I'm the other assistant principal here, and as Laura mentioned, we follow grade levels. So I'm actually the assistant principal that will work primarily with the students in the 9th grade this year. So you'll hear from me for all sorts of reasons, hopefully mostly good, but also if there's maybe a bad reason here or there, I'd be the first person that you talk to in the administration. So I'm originally from Cambridge, and then spent a large chunk of my adult life living in San Francisco, where I taught English and history, and loved it, and loved education. I also became a turnaround coach there. They sent me into a couple of schools that were really struggling, and then I would help coach teachers and work with the school to turn it around. I have 2 kids, one born out there on the West Coast, and then another one here when we got here. Miles and Ozzy, and I have a really crazy, almost 4-year-old Bernese pit bull mix that like tears up our lives all the time and gives us lots of joy. As I mentioned, I was an English and history teacher. I then spent some time in turnaround in San Francisco, and then I moved back here, and I worked in Salem as the upper school principal of Salem Academy Charter School. Decided I really did not want to continue that commute, and wanted to kind of move it back into mainstream education, and found my place here. Laura and I actually started the same year, which was also the COVID year, so that was like a really fun time to start working in a new place. I love everything that floats. I like to float myself. I'm a big swimmer, I'm a backpacker, I'm a surfer, I'm a sailor, pretty much anything on the water. And this is not going to be the Celtics year, but we've had one recently, it was pretty good, and we'll have one again pretty soon. The Celtics are the ones that I wake up for every day. So I'm also going to introduce 2 other folks that aren't here tonight, but really wanted to be, and they both couldn't be for unavoidable reasons. They're very important people that your kids might have already talked about, and I bet you some of our panelists might mention some of their work or their colleagues' work. The first person is Ben Buffa, who's our counseling department head. So all of your students' counselors work with Ben. Ben is probably some of your students' counselor. And he is a really great point person if you have anything related to counseling, any questions related to counseling. The other person is Amy Lima, who is our Academic Support Center coordinator. She does a lot of the tutoring in the building. She helps students with organization. Students are referred to the Academic Support Center if they need specific targeted support in reading, in math, and she's a great person to know. And she's also the Academic Support Center. You're going to hear a little bit more about it later, but it's open to every student, and it's in the library, very easy to access. So this is their contact information and what they look like. They're probably super embarrassed that their pictures are up there and they're not here. But you'll hear from them and get to know them over the course of the next 4 years. Right, the next person I'm going to introduce is someone very important, and who we have the privilege of working with 2 of her amazing sons, and that is Jen Perlman, who's the head of our PTO.
Hi everyone, I'm Jen Perlman, and I'm happy to be serving as the PTO president. This is my 2nd year. I do have 2 sons, one is a sophomore and one's a junior. On behalf of the PTO, I would like to welcome all of you to our community. Now you might be wondering, Jen, how do I become a member of the PTO? Well, if you have a student at Wayland High School and you are the parent or caregiver to that student, congratulations, you are a member of the PTO. So in the elementary schools and even the middle schools, the PTO is much more visible to the parent community. We recruited the room parents, we did bingo nights, we did talent shows, we did book fairs. So although you don't see us as much at the high school, we're still here, but we're working a little more behind the scenes. Each year we spend about $20,000 supporting the school in various ways while keeping focus on 3 objectives. The first objective is to enhance the academic and social emotional learning of our students. That includes the things you see in the list under students, and sometimes it's by providing tangible items to the classrooms. So last year we had about 80 sophomores taking environmental chemistry, and the teachers were working to develop a food science curriculum within the environmental chemistry class. We were able to help pilot this program by providing funds to purchase kitchen equipment and supplies. Sometimes it's by providing tangible items for clubs. Last year, we provided funds to the sewing clubs to purchase supplies for them and have their machines serviced. So the advisors shared that students have interest in fashion and sustainability. They thrift. They buy secondhand clothing and want to learn how to tailor and alter these pieces. So basically, you're donating it to Savers, and they're going and buying it back. The advisors mentioned that this club attracts students across social groups, and some have found a real home in the sewing club. We also help by subsidizing the cost for students to attend special programs. Last year, there was a Girls in STEM conference at Regis College, and the PTO helped make it more accessible for the young women to attend. I could go on. We had so many fantastic and interesting grants last year, and we do our best to spend the money across the school to support and reach as many students as possible. Our second objective is to support our staff. In addition to fulfilling grant requests, we organize a dinner for back to school night and an end of the year lunch. Plus each spring we present a staff member with the Alumni Award. Recent alumni nominate a staff member who influenced the path they chose in college studies or their career choice. We present the winner with a $1,000 professional development grant. Our third objective is to foster a spirit of community, which we do by coming together to make all of this happen. So on slide 2, do I have to change that slide? Okay. So a resource that's particularly helpful to families new to Wayland High School is called the Insider's Guide. This is a fantastic document that includes info about extracurriculars, social activities, course selection, etc. This was put together by the PTO, so I'm planning to have this in the e-news for next Friday, and we do post it on Facebook. So we're just making some updates to this document, but we will get that out to you.
Sure. That link actually works now too for last year, so.
The link?
There's
Oh, the QR code? Oh, okay, great. Okay, so you can check it out. Some of the stuff's still needing updates, but it's still very, very useful. I'm almost done. I've got a lot in here. Okay, so how can we stay connected and accomplish these goals together? First, our only fundraiser is Gift Your Child. You don't have to buy anything, and you don't have to sell anything. That's the beauty of it. And Gift Your Child is happening now. So we rely on your donations for all our activities. So please visit waylandpto.org to make your contribution. The money we earn this fall is spent this year. Second, come learn about the high school experience and various parenting topics by attending the chat hour. You can attend in person or by Zoom. Chat hour is when the high school has sort of information that they want to share with you. It's sort of a way for you to ask questions of topics that are most interesting to you. So we're going to have our next chat hour, I believe it's October 23rd or 24th, whatever the Friday morning is. So that will come out to you, information by email from the school. Third, read the PTO news section of the e-news. And fourth, join our closed Facebook group. It's under Wayland High School PTO. So whether you donate your time, your talents, your money, or all three, we hope you'll reach out and find a way to get involved in a way that works for you. You can reach us at waylandhighpto@gmail.com. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a great year.
Thanks so much, Jen. We are so fortunate to partner so closely with our parent community. 2 other quick plugs for the boosters, another way for our caregivers to get involved, particularly for our student athletes, and we have a very robust athletics program. And then you may have met Vicki Lai and our Kappa folks, and that's really about the fine arts and other creative pursuits here on campus for our students. That organization supports those efforts. I'm going to turn it back over to Sean.
All right. I mentioned a meeting I had with a parent recently, and this actually comes up quite a bit. And we were sitting around the table, and we were talking about something that was a little bit difficult, not horrible, but just a little bit difficult. There was some trouble, like some academic struggles that were happening. And the parent looked across the table and said, like, is this normal? Like, is this like I know my 14-year-old are they a normal 14-year-old? And I was like, yes, they're a normal 14-year-old. Everything is normal. And the reason I mentioned that to you is that we wanted to share with you a little bit about what kids are experiencing as they jump into ninth grade here. Our panelists are going to talk about that, and we want to just give you a couple of big themes of things that kids experience when they come here for the first time, so that you understand that a lot of what your kids are struggling with, or a lot of what they're excited about, is perfectly normal. So the first thing that kids talk about when they come to the high school, from the middle school, or from any other school, is that they feel an increase in freedom and independence. It's a wonderful feeling to not have an assigned table at the lunchroom, to be able to make some decisions about where you're going to spend your free time. In the second semester, your students will potentially earn their way out of study hall, and so they're actually have free periods in their day, and for the first time in 9 years, they will be able to wander the halls as they wish during those free periods, and use the different spaces. So there's this sense of freedom that students get here. It comes with some independence as well. They get to choose their classes in a different way. They get to have interactions with their teachers in a different way. So that freedom and independence is one of the things that kids talk about when they come here. The other thing that they talk about quite a lot is the increase in academic rigor. Homework becomes a little bit larger when they get to high school. How many of you have heard or seen your kids have an increase in homework so far? Okay. I'm sorry, and that's where we are. There's an increase in academic rigor. Homework does not equal academic rigor. It equals extra practice, and so often it's connected with academic rigor, but it is not the same thing. They will get increased academic rigor in the classroom. There's more demands put on them in the classroom, and more demands put on them in terms of their learning. So kids explain it's a big adjustment coming here for ninth grade, and that some of the jumps can be big, particularly if your students are challenging themselves with some honors level classes, or maybe taking an honors level class where they hadn't taken one before. So you'll see that's pretty much a theme for the year. It's going to be kind of intense. Okay? The other thing that students tell us is that there's an increase in the amount of responsibility and self-advocacy that we ask from them. And we don't do this all at once. We don't say, okay, you're on your own, tell us if you need anything, see you later. But slowly over the course of the year, we do expect students to talk to their teachers a little bit more, take a little bit more initiative when it comes to getting extra help, or grabbing an opportunity that's been offered to them. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you communicate with folks here at school, but one thing I'll start with is your students should start to feel comfortable communicating directly with their teachers. So rather than you might have been the communicator before, and you might have been the communicator for 8 solid years, we want you to start thinking about, how do I give some of that over to my kid? How do I push them to take some of that responsibility for themselves and advocate for themselves a little bit? So those are the big themes, and I think you're going to hear some of that from our panelists as well, but maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they'll be totally out of the box. Okay, so that was kind of the serious part, and now I get to talk about the really fun stuff. We have an amazing array of clubs at Wayland High School, and I don't know, how many of you, like, your kids come home and said, I just joined a club over the last couple weeks? That's amazing. Great. We have currently 71 active clubs at Wayland High School. I don't know if all 71 are going to make it to the end of the year, but 71 active clubs that have started meeting already. And we had our club fair on September 30th, and the following week, around 3:30, you could walk around this building, and almost every classroom was still full, because these clubs were meeting, and they had all of the kids that had just signed up at club fair, and they were talking about how they were going to meet over the course of the year. There's opportunities to pursue any kind of, I think, maybe there's something out there we don't have, but there's all sorts of interests that you can pursue. You could do the sewing club that Jen just mentioned. There's amazing volunteering clubs. There are clubs that get you out into nature. There are clubs where you're competing at a really high level. We have mock trial, we have our debate team. I mean, there's so many clubs at Wayland. So if your kid has not signed up for a club, but you think they might be interested in one, tell them to talk to any of their teachers, or one of us, and we'll help them find something there, okay? All right,
we're gonna stop talking soon, okay? We're gonna get to the kids, which is the best part. All right. So in ninth grade, you see all of the things that are the difference between middle school and high school, and you're probably going, so what's there? And Mr. Gass talked a little bit about some of that. But the ninth grade supports during the school year is really counselors, and I kind of wish I had a line from counselors to seminars. In ninth grade seminars, students are meeting with their counselor, talking about all things Wayland, and then we go in and do a session with the ninth graders, kind of see how their transition's going. And then we have the academic support center coordinator goes in and meets with them too. So ninth grade seminars also have peer leaders who are the tour guides during their orientation within them too. So those are kind of three large supports. Advisory is something that happens Monday through Friday, 7 minutes a day. Twice a month is an extended advisory. And these are two people who you're gonna have your ninth grade conferences with. You get to know your students for 4 years. They'll be their advisory, you can follow them through. If you haven't noticed a theme, your counselors will follow your kids through. We follow with your kids, and we like to keep that consistent collective experience. The Academic Support Center is really for students who want a little bit more structured help. They have peer tutoring in there, they have adult tutors that help and assist students. It's a more deeper intervention support. Study hall is a place, like Mr. Gass mentioned, where your students will be for the first half of the year. And that's kind of an academic space. It's really helping getting them in the brain habit of, when I have free time and I don't have a class scheduled, I can go meet with my teachers, who are the largest support your students in their academic transition. I can go to the ASC, I can go to the library, I can meet with a peer tutor, or I can sit here and do my homework because I have something after school today. So study hall is definitely a place where we're looking, like, are they using this time wisely? It's overseen by Dante Parsakian. He's excellent with the kids, gets to know them. He has a very structured routine when kids go in there. So study hall is a great indicator of what are they going to do during free blocks. So ask your kids, what do you do in study hall? And they might say, like, oh, I got all my homework done. Or they might say, like, talk to my friends, and if you could just reiterate, like, this is the time to learn those good habits for when you have free time. I'm just going to highlight teachers one more time. If your student's having an academic concern, they're struggling with a test or a quiz, sit down with them and help them write an email to their teacher. They are the best people who can direct them to extra support, find times to meet with them. They're your #1 support. If you have a question, reach out to them. They're really here to help you and help your students, and we want your students to be successful in classes, so they're going to partner with you. Ben Buffalo usually does the slide head of counseling, but he's not with us tonight. But your counseling team are kind of like your go-to. So if you just blanked out during everything I said, you're like, what do I do? Just email your counselor. As somebody who's a former guidance counselor, it doesn't matter. If you have a question about school pictures, that's an easy question, right? Versus something like, I'm really worried about test taking, or I'm really worried about a social situation, I need some help. Reach out to your counselor. They will direct you in the right direction and give you the assistance you need. Whom to contact, why, like I just said, teachers, we have specific questions, concerns. If you're noticing, hey, my student really needs some help organizing their time during the day, the academic center might be there, reach out to Amy Lima, his contact information is there. Attendance, main office, my student forgot their lunch, main office. I need to get partnered over to the DH, main office. The main office is also there to help direct you. Department heads, if you have questions, concerns of overall curriculum, this will come up around scheduling. So when you have questions around course selection, the DH team is, they're strong in the curriculum component. And anything else, reach out to us. We're always here to help. And if we don't know, I always joke around like, I don't know, somebody else in this building definitely does. So we will find out how to support you and your student. All right. Upcoming dates. We'll go ahead and just take this one. All right. It's 9th grade conferences. You should have received an email from your advisory teachers to set up a time. They are October 15th and 22nd. 9th grade elections are happening on the 16th. Chat hour on Friday the 24th is 8:45 to 9:45 with a focus on kind of future planning and the road trip. There'll be a parent panel. And Friday, October 31st is actually the end of our first quarter. So those are some pretty important upcoming dates. If you want to take a picture, so give us a All right. Now it's time for the student panel.
Drum roll, please.
Yes, the best part. So years ago, believe it or not, this was slideshow was much longer. And it was the adults standing up here talking about Wayland High School and everything Wayland High School. And I was kind of like, this is boring. And the kids have a much better perspective. And last year we tried it out, and it was really great. And so this year we wanted to do it again. So we have to thank all, I'm gonna shut this. We have to thank these lovely students for coming out. Some of them literally ran off an athletic field or left, the theater to come tonight to talk a little bit about their high school experience. If you have note cards, Dr. Mizuguchi's gonna walk around and grab them. But if you haven't written anything yet, don't worry, because we'll walk around. Mr. Gass and I are gonna ask you guys questions, all right? We're gonna keep it really simple. The first thing is, can you introduce yourself, what grade you're in, and something you do here at Wayland that you are really passionate about?
Hi everybody, my name is Aiden Curry and I'm a junior here at Wayland High School, and one thing that I'm really interested in is probably football.
I'm Sterling, I'm a junior. I'm interested in football and basketball.
I'm Shiva, I'm a sophomore, and I am interested in mock trial and volleyball.
My name is Herman Shu. I'm a sophomore at Wayland High School. I'm on the soccer team. I really enjoy it.
Hey, I'm Kyle Zhang. I'm interested in soccer, swimming, and WSBN.
Hi, I'm Kushi, and I play tennis at Wayland.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a sophomore, and I'm on the basketball team, soccer team, lacrosse team, and I enjoy student council.
She never sleeps, apparently.
All right, guys, I'm going to ask you the first question while we're collecting some from the audience as well. So I'm going to ask you to time travel a little bit. If you could go back in time, and for some of you this is 3 years or 1 year, to your 9th grade self and talk to them in August of that year. If you talk to your 9th grade self, what advice would you give them?
I think I would say that everything is going to be okay, and that it can be overwhelming, but that's not like a forever sort of thing, and it's really important to ask for help from classmates, teachers, guidance.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. In beginning of freshman year, I still feel like I was kind of scared to ask my teachers questions, which is a big mistake, and later in the year, but it would be better if I learned in the beginning.
I would say cherish your free time more, because it's only going to get busier, and start strong.
No, definitely, reach out, tell your kid to reach out. I was definitely hesitant, even though you definitely shouldn't be.
I was also going to say, talk to all the guidance counselors. I joined 9th grade in the middle of the year because I transferred from a different school. And talking with the guidance counselors was really helpful. And yeah.
I'd say everything's really not that deep. Like if you do bad on one thing, just do good on the next thing.
Yeah, the main thing I would say actually is if your kid is feeling nervous in the hallways, like I know on my first day, I actually had no clue where to go. Definitely ask one of the older people, like the seniors or juniors. Don't hesitate. Tell your kid to reach out. None of us are here to terrify your kid, and we're all honestly here to help out. Also,
We had a late arrival, but literally coming from one thing to another. So I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself, what grade you're in, and what do you like to do here on campus, what are you passionate about?
Hi, my name is Mia Farley. I'm an 11th grader at Wayland High School, obviously. I am a member of Wayland Weston Crew. I'm also I'm pretty involved with clubs. I'm starting one with a couple other people. Yeah, I like WHS. I love to really get involved with the classes, and yeah, hell here.
So I want to ask a funny question because people are nervous. I'm nervous, right? So I want you to tell us, what is your favorite thing to eat at the CAF? Eat it, you start.
honestly, the smiley fries. Not gonna lie, I don't eat a lot of anything else, but those are delicious, and I always wind up stealing from my friends. Honestly, most of the time.
There's this one pizza that I swear happens like twice a year. That's like really good. It's had like really puffy crust and cheesy. I don't eat it.
I was gonna say the pizza and the smelly fries. So
My go-to sandwich line, it never disappoints.
Yeah, the pizza, it happened today actually, it was really good. And the burger and the salad bar.
I also like the pizza, but I also like the hash browns. Yeah, I was gonna say the hash browns and probably the French toast.
I really like these little like frozen overcooks that they have sometimes.
All right, now a more serious one. What advice would you give about homework and the difference in managing the homework load that is much larger than middle school? And always feel free, you don't have to answer questions, you can pass the mic to somebody else. Anytime. So whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I can start. I think that the homework, honestly, in freshman year started out as not too bad. I think with the amount of work that you were given in middle school, I feel like it was pretty similar, especially I think like some of the science classes in 8th grade really prepared me well for math grade homework. Yeah, I think they like slowly also start getting harder each year, which worked pretty well.
I kind of had the opposite of Mia. I felt like the workload really increased for me from freshman year, from 8th grade to freshman year. The biggest advice I can give is like don't procrastinate your work, and I need to listen to my own words because I do procrastinate my work too. But it really isn't like a good quality because you just keep getting more and more homework as the week goes on, and it makes it harder to finish. So like use your freeze really well to get that work done.
Yeah, my biggest advice would definitely be to take like the best of what time you can get. If you're someone who procrastinates, definitely just get your homework done during your freeze. It'll feel so much better when you go home and you have nothing to do except like a worksheet. And especially it helps you stay on track of your work if you just do them during your freeze.
Yeah, structure your time basically. Like, your kids are probably going to get more and more busy. Not just, I felt like the workload in freshman year was overall fairly light, but if you, if you're playing multiple sports throughout the year, if you're doing clubs, if you're part of different organizations, if you're doing extracurriculars, like instruments, sports, anything, it's going to get a lot harder to manage your time.
Yeah, I found that doing my work in school and whatever free time you have, and if they let you do your work in school or in your classes, you can always do it there. Just because like there's a lot of stuff after school, so it's definitely better to do it.
So I also felt that the workload got increased a bunch from 8th grade to 9th grade. And at the end of the day, homework is basically just 3 points if you're like using the notes in. Because it's like easy if you take notes in class and use them for your homework, and then it's just 3 points in.
Yeah, make sure your like kids have a study method that works for them. Like I like to just like for a history test or even bio test, I would just like yap to my dog about what was going on, and I did pretty good on those. But also like a really underrated thing is like physical exercise. Like usually before I do it before I do my homework. Like I don't play a spring sport, and I swear my grades get worse in the spring because I'm like not like regimented or routine in like my exercise.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is, speaking from a sports perspective, if you have a sport after school, you will not be able to get in all of your homework, especially cramming it in like all in one night. Like Grace was saying earlier, I procrastinated a lot my freshman year, and since I had football, I actually had multiple days where I would miss homework assignment, and it completely ruined your grade, to be honest. And I had to make it up, and thankfully I had teachers who were there for me. But honestly, when you have freeze, you have to tell your kid to use them wisely, because if you don't, it's really going to hurt you in the future.
Right, so you just mentioned something about teachers. Let me ask you guys, and again, as Nicole said, if you don't want to answer, you don't have a story for this, that's okay. But if you could think about a time that you had a really positive, helpful interaction with a teacher, how did that come about? Did you go and talk with them? Did they talk with you? What tips could you give to ninth graders about approaching their teachers or talking with their teachers?
So I have actually a short story. My freshman year, who now I also have in junior year. I have a teacher named Mr. George, and according to everyone, he's extremely strict, but I actually asked for him my junior year for some reason. And my freshman year, the reason why I did this was because my freshman year I was really struggling with my essays, and I was never really a good writer in the first place. And it wasn't even me. I was looking at my grades and I was kind of hopeless. I wasn't getting the grades that I wanted out of it. And he actually approached me and talked to me and was like, we have to set up a time, we have to talk about this. And honestly, you look at all the teachers, like all the teachers are willing to reach out and help you at any point. And you honestly just have to do it because from there on out, I met with him probably 2 weeks, 3 times in 2 weeks. And my writing went from here to here, like all in 3 meetings with him. So honestly, just don't take it as your teacher's targeting you, like if they want to meet with you, just take it as advice and use it.
There was this one time I had a math test, and it was like a cumulative math test of like the past like month and a half. And I did really, really bad on one of the like little quizzes that we had, and I swear I knew, I thought I knew how to do it, but apparently I didn't. But my friend and I were kind of in the same situation. So during our freeze, during like 2 of our frees, we went and met with our teacher and Miss Martone, and we got a lot better. We both did very well on that cumulative test, and it was definitely because we took the extra time to go and like seek help.
Yeah, the teachers are there to help you. A bunch of teachers, they have a lot of free time if they match up with your child's free time in the day. And a lot of teachers I know, like Miss Ditto and Bio, she had like morning hours as well. So if you needed help with homework or studying, she'd be there to help you and give you like a private lesson. And it's really helpful.
Yeah, definitely what they said. Definitely be comfortable with your teachers. Don't ever be afraid to reach out. I always had I had this really bad test, and I met with my teacher, Miss York, and the only thing they did was say positive things, and after that I was feeling a lot better, a lot more positive. So never feel hesitant about reaching out to your teacher or to ask for help. They're always patient, always help. They never hurt you.
Yeah, the 2 teachers mentioned before, Miss Ditto and Miss York, like the 9th grade honors biology teachers are probably like, they're some of like the best ever. Like that department is amazing, and especially for like probably the hardest course in freshman year. They're like, almost all the teachers are on your side. They want you to succeed. Like during the mornings, almost every single day, like there would be kids meeting in Miss Ditto's room, and like we just, like before class started, we could just see them. Like she was giving them lessons, going on whiteboards, drawing out diagrams and everything. It was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying like ask about the bigger stuff, but I want to also emphasize ask about the smaller things. Like if you have a simple question about the homework or you don't understand the directions, just send your teacher an email. They're most likely going to respond if it's in like a reasonable hour, but it's
Yeah, so last year, I've always struggled with math, and last year was a bit harder for me. So during the beginning of the year, I had a test coming up, and I knew that I wasn't going to do amazing on it. So I emailed Miss Martone, who was my math teacher at the time, and I said, hey, can you help me with this? It's not making much sense. And she emailed me back immediately and was like, yeah, can you come? And she gave me these times when I came in after school, I think like 2 times for like 3 weeks. And she helped explain the math in different ways, so it was really helpful. So just reaching out is always like, you definitely need to do that. I agree. I know we really can't emphasize enough, reaching out is so important. And I remember one specific time in freshman year, I was part of the innovation pathway we have here. And my grade quarter ended with like an 89.9. And my parents pushed me to email my teacher, and I didn't want to, but I ended up being able to do a couple extra credit assignments and get it up, which is not always going to happen, but I think it was definitely worth reaching out and giving it a shot.
All right, so we have another question that Nicole and I were just trying to figure out exactly how to frame this. This comes from one of the parents here, and so if I mess it up to whoever wrote this, please feel free to correct me. So this is actually asking you for some advice for parents. So for parents who are seeing their kid feel under a lot of pressure, feel behind, how can the parent support them? What should they do to help their kid in that situation, which some of you may already feel like you're in. So it's really you guys giving some advice to parents and what you would have liked to hear when you were in 9th grade.
I think, like, honestly, you know, like, positive reinforcement, like, your child is trying and, like, it can be hard. And I think sort of like what we just went over, reaching out to their teachers can definitely help. And just, like, helping them take advantage of the resources.
I definitely agree with what Mia's saying, and like for me, freshman year especially, a little this year, but I felt like I was under a lot of like stress and pressure to like do well in classes and everything, so I definitely reached out, or I didn't want to reach out, but my parents like made me, but like I helped me realize that reaching out to my teachers was like the best way that I could do it, and like finding like coping mechanisms to help me like get through the stress of all the workload.
Yeah, I will definitely say I also experienced a lot of pressure last year with my workload getting a lot bigger. And the best thing my parents did for me was just help me through it. Like if I was procrastinating, they just made me sit with them to do my homework so I could get it done and study for my test. It was like just making sure that I was doing everything because I was a big procrastinator. So they like made like sure I checked off all my boxes and like I had a planner, everything, and made me write down everything, which would really help.
I would say push your kid to do well, but don't judge them. So it is all right to want your kid to do well, and I know all of you want your kids to do well, but don't keep pushing to them to a point where you are instead becoming a burden instead of a motivator.
What I wanted from my parents, and I've gotten, is definitely for them to be involved in everything they want to do, and like in the classes, the workload, what they want to do, like clubs-wise, sport-wise, and I don't know, definitely reach out, be involved, have a talk with them, get them a tutor, get them extra classes. Even just talking to them is definitely something like I would want.
Last year, near the middle of last year, I wasn't doing too great. It was hard for me to catch up transitioning in, and I was too scared to approach the teachers for help. My parents helped me, and they also sent an email to my teacher, mainly science, because that was the class I was struggling most with. And the teachers, they've seen a bunch of different types of students and their experiences, so they're able to help you out with whether it's setting up schedules for your homework or sending you to meet them in the morning and things like that. And my parents helped me by actually reaching out to them and making like a conference.
Obviously, like everyone else said, you need to you should uplift and support your kids. Like make sure you're make sure they're in a good place to be able to do good, but also at the same time, don't drown them with expectations. Like if they get a slightly lower grade than you wanted them to get or they wanted to get, make sure that you're not make sure that they're not feeling repercussions from that, and they're striving to do better for themselves, not to do better because you want them to do better.
Yeah, the thing that I'll say is kind of reiterating what everyone else said. You guys have to really push them, to be honest. If you are too lenient and you aren't involved at all, unfortunately when your kids' grades come out at the end of the year, you guys will not be happy. It's just true, I'm sorry. But if you guys are, a lot of people are saying, if you guys are just constantly on them, unfortunately, most people think an 83 and an 80 is oh my god, it's a huge difference. You don't have to trouble your kid with constantly you have to be better. Push them, but don't be on them every single time they get something wrong, because they honestly know themselves, and I speak from a personal standpoint, they know themselves that they can do better, and they know that themselves oh, I got a bad grade and I have to fix it, but you guys just have to push them in that direction, not fall and shove them overboard. Yeah.
If your kid will do good if your kid wants to do good. If you want your kid to do good, that doesn't mean that they'll do good.
Good point.
to know, like, okay, what was the hardest thing to adjust to when you came from 8th to 9th grade? Was it just workload? What was the harder transition stuff?
I think the harder transition, I mean, definitely the workload was a little bit more intense because the teachers at first are very nice. They understand like, oh, 8th grade workload's a little light, we're gonna take it easy on you. But some teachers just like right off the bat, they'll click in and it's just hard, like off the bat. But honestly, like it'll take you time to adjust, and at the start you might be struggling, but honestly you get adapted to it so fast that it's like once you're done with that first quarter, freshman year, you're immediately there. Like you understand how everything works. You understand, oh, this is where my class is. This is where I have to go for help. This is all this. This is teacher's going to be a little bit more stricter than the other teachers, which is just how it goes. But like honestly, you get used to it pretty fast. So don't be nervous about it. But definitely the workload will be a little bit of a burden at the start.
I feel like that, I mean, getting into like a new routine is always the hardest part. And like, you're gonna have to, I mean, through trial and error, try to make sure that your kids have like the best, a routine that like works for them. Like that's probably the best thing they could do or you could do to help them. Like make sure they can get in the swing of things like they were in middle school.
So one of the biggest things transitioning is not just the workload, but it's time management and procrastination. In middle school, a bunch of times, like, I procrastinated so much. And when I came 9th grade, that was a huge mistake because the workload increased and so my procrastination increased. So yeah, I met with the teachers and they got that better. And once you're off of that first quarter, you start getting rolling. And freshman year, that is probably just going to be, after the first quarter, is going to be like the easiest part of high school.
There's a lot more responsibility when you transition to high school, but you will definitely get through it. You will get through it. There's no need to be worried too much. Maybe you'll look back sophomore, junior year and wonder why you're so stressed.
Yeah, guys, high school's hard. For me, I might have been just like, everything is new and different, and like, sometimes you ask the upperclassmen and you use your resources and they throw around a million different acronyms and things, and like, I have no idea what this means. And then kind of adjusting to that and sort of learning how to play the high school game was probably the hardest part for me.
And one thing that I will say is don't abuse your freedom. You get a lot more privileges in the high school than the middle school. Like you get to use your phone, you have freeze, but don't use your phone during class is the obvious one. And also don't leave campus during your freeze. You will get them taken away. And don't feel like pressured by upperclassmen like, oh, I can drop you home if you have like a laptop free. You will get in trouble. You get your freeze taken away. And trust me, you want those frees to do your work.
For me, I feel like the hardest part of transitioning was honestly the tests, because I feel like in middle school I never really studied for tests because I don't know, it didn't seem like it was necessary. But I got to high school and I had my first bio test and I studied the night before and that was it. And then I got a 70, and then I realized, oh, I actually have to study hard for all my tests, and that happened with Spanish too. And then in bio, I never got a 70 again because I put in the work weeks in advance. At the start of the first unit, for the next unit, I started studying and I continued that, and my grades kept going up higher because I realized that I actually needed to study now.
Yeah, similar to Grace, I think one important point also is understanding the weight of your assignments and tests. And if you're aiming for an end grade or like an end percent that you want to end the quarter of the year with, you really have to focus and remember like what's important, and like if you maybe messed up on one test earlier in the year, you might have to like make up for it in another.
Okay, so we obviously don't have every 9th grade parent here, but these guys made the effort to come in here, so we want to give them a hot tip. We want you to give them a hot tip, okay? Something they can go home and tell their kid tonight that will be like a cool thing to know when they come to school tomorrow. So what's your hot tip about student life? Yeah, don't think academic, like, don't say do your homework, because we know that one. Think, like, student life, so what's something interesting that they could know tonight and feel more prepared tomorrow?
All right, guys, thanks. Here we go. I love how they started with me, and I almost know what to say. A hot tip for Wayland. I'd say, honestly, is have fun. Well, I know we're reiterating, like, use your freeze wisely, but at the same time, like, if you don't have homework, like, have fun with your friends. Like, you don't have to be stressed. Everyone is there for you. Your classmates are always there for you. And use your time wisely, but at the same time, like, don't feel afraid to, like, be with your friends, like, hang out, like, relax, you know? Like, you don't have to always be stressed out.
Like take electives and extracurriculars, and like when you do those, like you can't do a ton of them. Like there's not many freshmen year, but like my art one class freshman year, there were like 4 upperclassmen in it, and I sat with. There were sophomores, 4 sophomores in it, and I sat with them, and I was like okay friends with them, and like I'll still say hi to them in the hallways today. And like extracurriculars, like when I was like last year, I was friends with a bunch of upperclassmen because of football. But yeah, just like if you get to know, if you play extracurriculars, if you do extracurriculars, it's a lot. You get to know upperclassmen a lot better.
So I was going to say join extracurriculars as well, but one big thing are clubs, not just sports. There are a lot of different clubs, like Mr. Gas said, there's 71. There are competitive ones, like I'm part of Mock Trial, which has opened me to a bunch of new experiences and people. And then there's also like more fun clubs like pickleball club or volleyball club that gets you introduced to newer sports.
Every single person I talked to who graduated high school said to cherish every moment, because it does pass by pretty quickly, so cherish every moment.
Mine is a bit more specific in the tip area. Guys, if you take journalism, do WSPN, which is the student news organization, or join Yearbook Club, you get free access to the Wayland High School's cameras, which are all very high quality, and you get free entrance into every single sports game.
I would definitely say try out and branch out, try new things. Freshman year is definitely like a time where you should explore all things, not like try new things, revisit things that you thought you didn't like in the past, you might not know what changed. The same thing goes for like sports. A lot of teams have freshman teams, which are a lot easier to get onto. So if you're nervous about making the team, you can try out for the freshman team, because there's usually a higher chance of getting on, and just see if you like the sport. Or you can even just go to the captain's practices to see if you're interested.
This is so basic, but I think it's really important. Just spend time with your friends, because high school can get lonely in the sense that you have so much homework that you forget you have a social life. So make sure you have a social life, because it's really important and it really helps. Yeah, like don't be afraid to try new things. Like trying, or I guess maybe your kids try to get rid of the anxiety surrounding, branching out, because once you do things you enjoy and you're able to find a community with people who enjoy the same things as you, it definitely pays off.
We now want to throw it out to you guys if there are any questions that you thought of as you heard these guys talking, or anything that's come up for you. Does anybody here have questions for our student panel?
Do you want the mic or do you want?
No, it's like a question about like winter and spring sports and the commitments of them. There's not a lot of information offered for going forward, kind of what to expect in the winter and spring months. And then a lot of the clubs, my daughter was telling me, are run in the afternoons, which are really hard when you're an athlete. And she couldn't sign up for most of them because they were offered only in the afternoons. Can we offer some clubs in the morning time as well for student athletes?
Yes, I've had some similar problems with this. Like at the club fair, there are so many things I want to do, and then there's a lot of them in the afternoon. And I think the best way I've worked around that is really asking people at the club fair, finding those clubs that do meet in the morning, because there are a lot and you can find a good amount of them, and I personally found a bunch that I do enjoy.
Well, for clubs, I'm part of Morgan's Message, which meets in the mornings before school, and that is it's a club where a lot of student athletes are, primarily girls, and it's like around like mental health and sports, and it's a really amazing club. It's a great community, so there's that too.
I'm also part of multiple clubs that join in the morning. I will say there are some that repeat on the same day, or they'll be like every alternating week. So you might have like 2 clubs that meet on Wednesday morning, but they'll be different weeks, so you can still make both clubs.
I would say that if your kid is doing sports year-round, then just like time in general is going to be scarce. And also, vacations are going to be a lot more tough. Like for, I'm part of the swim and dive team, and we basically aren't allowed to take winter break. Yeah.
Same thing with the sports. I would say, especially if you have a game that night, they usually tend to run longer, especially if it's an away game. So I did my homework on the bus. I did my homework during my breaks. I did it during my breaks during the game, and that was way too tiring for me. So I would just say plan it ahead, because I left it to the last minute, and doing my homework during a water break was so tiring, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, to add on about sports, I made varsity basketball as a freshman, and we had 2 days off during winter break, and then I think 2 days off during February break too. So it can be a lot, but I think it's worth it. It's a really great community. It's really fun.
Also, WSPN is a class as well as in club, so you guys should do WSPN. It's great. Student news.
If your child's an athlete, the morning athletic clubs are mostly like, pickleball and those type of sports. But if they are doing a spring sport and not winter or fall, a lot of like competitive clubs, they end before spring. So you can be part of the sport in spring.
Winter sports take a ton, like sports in general, like they take a ton of time, especially in the winter, because it starts right after Thanksgiving break or Thanksgiving weekend, and it's basically like all the way till February break. And if you're on varsity, especially like basketball, varsity basketball usually doesn't have February break off if they're good, and then, but in between, like the end of spring sports and end of winter sports and beginning of spring sports, there's like 2 weeks. I don't know why, but there's like 2 weeks, and so that's like a good time to just get like if you need to like take a certain like course or something, like driver's ed or whatever, like that's like a good time to like squeeze it in.
I'm not gonna lie to you, in the fall, it's really hard as an athlete to actually do clubs in the afternoon. It's near, I would say possible, but it's extremely difficult because you literally get out of school and you're like practice immediately. And if you didn't have a free that day, you have homework immediately. So it's really difficult, and if you can find a club in the morning that you would enjoy, definitely do that. But if there's one in the afternoon and you sign up for it, I'm just gonna throw it, it's gonna be really hard if you're in season, so don't feel forced like, shoot, I have practice, I have lots of homework, but I have the club meeting. Don't blow off your homework. Just definitely try and focus on other things first.
Also, one important thing that I've learned last year is there's some clubs that I want to do, and there's some extracurriculars that I think I can do better in. So one piece of advice that my parents also gave me was set your priorities, like what you want to do more than the other, and what you have time to do as well, including schoolwork.
Like on the topic of sports being busy, yes, it's going to take up a lot of time, but I would still push your kids to well, a focus on school, but more importantly for me and for I assume all of you, is that family matters should come above school and they should also come above sports. Like if there is an important family thing going on, your kid probably shouldn't skip that to go to the game. And also there are clubs that don't meet exactly regularly. We have some clubs, like I think it's the student corps, they just organize fundraisers and they food banks once a month. That's just like on the weekends, they don't meet, they have like webinars instead of like meetings, so you can go to online Zoom things. So their yearbook club doesn't really meet too regularly, and you can just like join and take pictures and then send them in. Like if you're going to a sports game, maybe just bring a camera, snap a few pictures and see if they can get in. There are plenty of clubs that don't meet regularly, but you can still do them while you play sports.
If you're not a full year-round athlete as well, many clubs will like let you take like a little breaks from some of the meetings because it's a game or an extended practice. Most of the club leaders are very lenient during sports time. One of my teammates was in Windows, the dance team, and she had time both off from tennis to go do her dance performances and vice versa.
Sorry guys, I'm talking a lot, but like there are clubs like math team, for example. If your kid is doing a winter sport, they will miss the math team season. If your kid is going to do a spring sport, they will miss the robotics team season. If you're doing a winter sport, you cannot make the mock trial season. They like these clubs that have specific seasons to go to competitions. If you're doing a sport at the same time, you're not going to be able to do it.
I'm going to insert myself here. Can we give our amazing student panelists a round of applause? Way more powerful than any of our slides, right? Just sort of the lived experience of our students who are involved, who are taking chances, who are growing and learning, and then offering all this wonderful advice to our caregivers. Thank you guys so much. On the note of how busy Wayland High School and our community is, we actually need to leave the theater because there's a dance rehearsal that's happening at 8:10. We're so grateful that you've joined us. If you have additional questions or want to converse, we'll be in the commons, so we don't inhospitably kick you out too soon. But again, thank you for joining us. We will share these slides, and then please follow up if there's anything that this conversation raised for you. If you have unanswered questions, again, we'll be there, but also available anytime. Thanks again.